Here with us today is Jack, and Jack recently got into a big fist fight with 8 bikers. He won and saved the virgin. Just in case you're wondering about his eye, Jack is a true
Yes.
hero, guys. And today he's here to tell us about how he got into the paranormal and UFOs. So, Jack, if you don't mind, please tell us a little bit more about yourself and how you got drawn into all this.
Yeah, sure. So, a lot of people ask me, like, did something happen to me, paranormal wise, that, segued me into this field? Did I see something or did I experience something? And to be honest with you, I didn't. It happened pretty organically. When I was a kid, I had this, probably this unhealthy obsession with missing persons cases. And the one that really drew me in was the case of Patricia Meehan. She was a middle-aged woman who disappeared in the 80s in Montana. Um, Her family said that she was acting odd beforehand, and along the road, she got into a car accident. Everybody was fine after the accident, but she gets out of the car and she stares at the people who she hits. She just was staring at them, and they said that she had this emotionless expression. And eventually she turns around and she disappears into the forest. I bring that up because these missing persons cases, like a lot of them, they have this otherworldly nature to them. There's something eerie about them. And when I was a kid, I just was really drawn to them, to that otherworldly factor. And somehow or another, that really got me into, from missing persons cases, I segued into UFO abductions, to psychic ability, to ghostly phenomena, to all manners of paranormal phenomena. And over the years, I decided that I really wanted to interview people myself. I wanted to get their story. I was really interested in people. Actually, I got my bachelor's degree in anthropology because I'm interested in people. Now, anthropology is, to oversimplify it, anthropology is a study of mankind. Um, a little bit more elaborate, anthropology is a study of people, of where we come from, who we are today, where are we going. Anthropology is a study of cultures, is a study of cultural dynamics, how we interact with other cultures, how we interact with each other, who are we, what are we doing. And I use those anthropological skills in the paranormal phenomena, because the paranormal, it's really important to understand that the paranormal isn't just about the phenomena itself. It's about people. How are people interacting with the otherworldly? In ancient times, when you had a paranormal experience, I should say, it was always seen as divine. It was always seen as communicating with the gods. And even though it is a little bit of that today as well, it's more complex than that now. It's dealing with the unknown, with the otherworldly. And what does that mean for us? What does the paranormal say about us in terms of where we are today? Um, Not just, where we are culturally, but also psychologically. The phenomena itself, paranormal phenomena, seems to evolve. When you look at UFO sightings, UFO encounters, abductions today, they mirror the fairy sightings and the fairy abductions, from centuries ago. So that's what I do. I like to collect people's reports and kind of study them. I like to look for patterns. I'm really interested in patterns in paranormal phenomena. Um, the paranormal researcher John Keel, he was the author of Mothman Prophecies. In the Mothman Prophecies, he noticed patterns in paranormal reports, um, weather patterns, environmental patterns. Um, Phenomena takes place at certain types of day, much more versus other times within the day. Ironically enough, I'm really actually not good at puzzles. You would think I am in terms of like all these patterns that I get into. I'm really not, but I'm still interested in these types of patterns. So that's what I like to collect.
Interesting that you talk about these patterns. I also find this very interesting. Like I said, weather phenomena, stuff like that. Can you
Yeah.
get a little bit deeper into these patterns? Do you have a few examples for us?
Yeah, so there is divination. Divination is looking at something in order to tell the history of it or something about it or the future of it. For example, throwing bones. People will have, whether usually it's animal bones, but I mean, in the past, it has been human bones, have a collection of bones. You throw the bones on a table and you read the bones. And it's the same thing as tarot cards. You flip a card, and the person that's on the opposite side of you, you try to get something about their life. Throwing bones is the same thing. Um, John Keel he would read clouds, and he wasn't a psychic or anything like that, but he would read clouds, their cloud formations. And actually, there's a name for cloud reading, and I can't think of it on the top of my head, but you could actually divine anything, cards, clouds, bones, things like that. I got, because I read the Mouthman prophecies. I got into cloud reading when I was in high school. I didn't pursue it after I kind of got into it, but I did a little bit while in high school, and weird things would happen. I'm not a psychic myself or anything like that, but I would try to study cloud formations and I would ask a question in my head, something I want answered. And sometimes a lot of times it was something mundane, about somebody else I knew or something like that. And I would get an answer. I would look at the clouds and I would say, I think the clouds are telling me this. And there was a couple times where whether it was hours later or days later, I would actually I would get the answer in real time. And again, I'm not a psychic or anything, but I was only doing it like in an amateur level. Like I said, I really never, pursued it or anything like that. But yeah, weather phenomena, looking at weather phenomena in terms of paranormal, that's one way to do it. That's more of a metaphysical way. But I think what other researchers do, like John Keel, is they look at it more like, is actually, because during storms there is a pattern of paranormal phenomena, especially like ghost sightings, do happen during storms. So that whole thing of the beginning of a story where they say it was a dark and stormy night. Well, there is validity to that, because a lot of ghost sightings do happen to happen during dark and stormy nights. Now, that's probably because the electromagnetism that's in the air. When there is electromagnetism, it kicks up paranormal phenomena. Me and a lot of my colleagues, we do think that ghosts are composed of negative ions, electromagnetism. Because if you have, and I learned this in physics class, if you have a magnetic rod and you put it over your arm, what will happen is there's a cold spot on your arm and your hair stands up. And that's all these ions that are going back and forth. Well, that's the same thing with ghosts. When people experience ghostly phenomena, they'll experience a cold spots, or they'll experience their hair standing up. Well, it's probably because ghosts are composed of these things. They're composed of electromagnetism, and that's how they manifest. What they do is they absorb all the energy in the area. They absorbed all the warmth in order for them to manifest, and there's a cold spot there. So,
Wow, that's very interesting. Very, very interesting.
and I'm no scientist, to be honest with you. Like I'm really interested in the science portion, and I've really been digging deep into it. There is a book called How to Hunt Ghosts. Now, it sounds like a cheesy book. it sounds really amateurish, but actually it's really good book because it gets into the science of ghosts from a ghost hunter himself, Joshua P. Warren, who I met a couple years ago. But yeah, I really recommend that book because it goes into the scientific nature of it.
Okay, is this book still available?
Oh
Maybe.
yeah, it's still available.
Oh, okay, on Amazon or so. Yeah.
Yeah, it's only like $15 or something. Yeah.
Yeah, let's look for the link and put the link below this episode here. A few minutes ago, you told us about this case that interested you, where this woman went missing.
Patricia Meehan, yeah.
Patricia Needham was the name. Okay, was she ever been found?
No, she was never found. I did a deep dive into this to try to see if I could come up with anything myself. I spent hours and hours, and over the course of like several days, I really couldn't find anything. I found one little thing, and honestly, it is possible that it wasn't her, but I found like a PDF form that was connected to a church that had her name in it, and it was like her name like in passing, like she was a member, and the dates would have been after her disappearance. So what I was kind of wondering in my head is, did she join a cult? Um, because the church would have been in the same state. That's the only little piece that I ever found. So I'm wondering, did she join some sort of cult? Like I said, her family did say that she was suffering from depression, that she wasn't herself before she left. Um, I'm wondering if she had some sort of mental breakdown. Why was she looking at the people that she crashed into? Why was she looking at them that way without any emotion on her face? And then she disappeared. It seemed like she had some sort of mental breakdown. Um, I did talk to another researcher. Uh, he had a blog that's now not around anymore, but he mentioned her. I used to follow his blog, and he talked about all sorts of metaphysical things, and he did cover missing people. And one time he actually brought her up in the blog, and I got really excited. So I actually emailed him, and I said, "Hey, look, this is how I feel about the case, about Patricia. This is what I found." And he actually believed that there was a cult running from, well, we had this long conversation, and he thinks that there was a cult running from Chicago to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And this cult they dabbled in Christianity, but it was like a Christianity that was infused with Satanism. And he believes that he found connections with this cult in rural areas around the country. And he thinks that maybe she got caught up in this because according to his research, and he didn't really go into too much detail with me, but according to his research, he found other missing people that he believes that have joined cults, because a lot of missing people, they go missing because of a mental illness, whether it's bipolar disorder or whether it's borderline personality disorder. When people are diagnosed with these disorders, they do have a bit of a personality change. And I've never been diagnosed with these things, but I have experience with people that do have these illnesses, and yeah, for some reason they very oddly become more spiritual, but that's not always necessarily a good thing. They gravitate whatever comes their way, whatever they soak up, and oftentimes it is like cults, or it and sometimes it isn't just necessarily a religion, but it's the occult in general. Occult, OCCOULT.
Yeah.
And I've seen people really go down the wayside when they get into this, and that's a whole other phenomenon that I'm really interested in too. I actually had a roommate. We got along, everything was great, and she wanted to start reading my paranormal books, which was a surprise to me. And I said, "Oh, yeah, sure. You could feel free to grab anyone you want and read them." And I have a book called Angels A to Z, and she really gravitated toward that one. And as the days went on, she kept talking about, this book. And I thought it was kind of odd, but I was like, "Oh, cool, yeah, yeah. I read that part." And eventually she starts saying that she's communicating with the angels. And I was like, "What do you mean you're communicating with them?" And she's like, "Yeah, they've been coming to me. I've been talking to them." And I was like, "Oh no." Oh, I'm like, "Oh no, this is not getting good." I go, I've had, I've dealt with people that have had this experience before. And yeah, long story short, and this is a long story, but long story short, she I tried getting her into a psychiatric ward. And I guess her father did too, and her girlfriend at the time tried doing it too. But yeah, she starts talking about angels and being able to read people's mind. And she went from just totally, quote unquote normal, she was level-headed, to now she's able to communicate with these things. And I've seen this kind of thing too many times. And that's why, how fundamentalist Christians, they say you shouldn't get into the occult, you shouldn't get into the paranormal. I'm not Christian, but in a way I understand that. Like, you got to be careful. This is the paranormal is for a certain type of personality. It's for a certain type of thinking. People that are very sensitive, and I mean sensitive both intuitively and emotionally. People that get into it, they get too into it, and oftentimes they will hallucinate, whether it's auditory hallucination or visual hallucination. But yeah, they will. It just, people should be careful in the paranormal. And that's not to say that the paranormal is evil. That's not what I'm saying. I don't believe it is evil, but it is of a nature that's um antithetical to humans, to our own thinking. It defies the laws of physics. It defies what we see as nature. So sometimes I feel like the paranormal has a mind of its own. It notices when you notice it.
Yeah.
And that's for various types of phenomena. That's for Bigfoot. That's for UFOs. That's for ghosts. Um, it's like when you notice a ghost, it seems to fade away. The phenomena is very eerie, and I love it though.
Yeah, me too. And we too. We love it. And
Yeah,
you're completely right. And it's often people with that are mentally unstable sometimes, like I said, or I suffered from depressions years ago and still do a little bit.
sure.
Very bad depressions many years ago. Had to swallow a fuckload of pills for a long
Yeah.
time. And sometimes people who deal with this kind of stuff get drawn into topics like that and get lost in it. And it's maybe they are looking for answers or something they can hold on to. I don't know what it is, but you're absolutely right. Yeah,
How are you doing now with your depression?
I'm okay. I'm okay.
Only okay?
Yeah. Back to I think
Yeah.
her name was Patricia Neeham. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um. So you don't think she disappeared in? And I say this for a reason because I had a I saw a video of a friend who's also a researcher and he researches on portals. And this is a topic that I find very interesting. You don't think she disappeared? Uh, I don't know, in some kind of portal. Sometimes people get lost. You hear about the missing 411 cases. You know what I
Oh, yeah.
mean? people got lost in alleged portals, stuff like that. And there is this story about, my friend talked about the story in this video, the story about this French company, like many years back, who disappeared. A whole company, army company, disappeared. They got lost and they have never been found. And I don't know if you're familiar with this forest in Romania. This place is called Hoia Baciu. It's
Let me just. I'm charging the computer real quick. Hold
yeah,
on.
no problem.
Okay, I'm so sorry about that.
No
That's
problem.
right.
Okay, it's charging now. No, I'm not familiar with that.
It's
I'm
yeah,
not familiar with that forest.
like I said, the place is called Hoia Baciu. It's in Transylvania. It's a forest, and it's a very creepy forest, man. It's a very creepy forest, and it's there are strange occurrences. People there call it the Bermuda Triangle of Romania. Locals are afraid of this forest, which is which has very unusual shaped trees. They grow in a very strange shape, like I said. People in the area have long been talking about eerie ghost apparitions, unexplained phenomena, and even UFO sightings. So, and the forest got its name from a shepherd who went into this forest many years ago with a herd of 200 of sheeps, and it disappeared. He was never seen again, and none of these sheep were ever seen again. So this is where the name comes from. And since then, people talking about ghosts and people who go, the visitors who have walked through the forest report strange noises that no animal in the world could make. They felt they were being watched and followed. I mean, come on, in the dark forest, I also feel watched and followed. But
Well,
maybe
you are being watched and followed.
yeah. Yeah, maybe you are watching followed. People suffer from panic attacks in this forest. They feel sick. Some people claim that they suffered strange scratches and even burns in the forest that they could not explain. There are reports of ghosts of, I don't know, murdered people stalking unsuspecting hikers. That could be just I don't know, urban legends, but yeah. Stories are told of portals that open there and people fall or walk or fall into them, like this shepherd back then. To be honest, I'm a skeptic, but somehow I do. I'm a big skeptic, man. But somehow I do believe in. I want to believe in portals. To be honest, I like the idea of portals. To put it this way, do not believe in portals, but I love the idea of portals and that there are portals on different spots on Earth.
Hey Jack, have you been to Burlington, Wisconsin, where they have the vortex? They have they have this forest too, where this vortex. If you take pictures, your pictures get all swirly and all these other different crazy lights. Very mysterious.
I got lost in Burlington Woods.
Oh, did you? Okay, let's hear the story.
Yeah, I actually went with two ghost hunters, and because we were familiar with all the reports. I mean, in Burlington Woods, just like the forest that Daniel was talking about, you get ghosts there, you get UFO sightings in Burlington Woods. Bigfoot sightings. Allegedly, there's giants living in Burlington Woods, and it's a big portal area. There's a researcher. Her name is Mary Sutherland, and she writes about Burlington Woods. She still does kind of take people out there for tours. I'm friends with Mary. She's a great lady. So we were just kind of exploring Burlington Woods. I didn't experience anything paranormal. I thought I was hearing drumming sounds. Two of us were hearing drumming sounds. I mean, I'm not going to say that was ghostly. I don't know what it was. It could have been, maybe it was people from far away doing something. Maybe it was a car. I don't know, but it sounded like drumming. But anyway, yeah, we got lost and it was nighttime already by the time we tried getting out. So long story short, we eventually did make our way out, but that sucked, you know. Uh, but going back real quick to the forest in Romania.
Yeah, please.
My girlfriend is from Romania.
Oh.
And so we actually want to take a trip there. And I was looking at paranormal phenomena in the area. So that forest is not something I came across, but now I'm excited to do
cool.
into that.
Oh, really? She didn't know about it, or yeah.
She was a little kid when she came to America. So she didn't know about it. But
I'm happy to provide you with informations about this forest and location and stuff like that. So
that would be awesome, actually.
I will do that after the show. There is said to be a circular excuse me. There is said to be a circular clearing in the middle of the forest where not a single blade of grass grows. So just like Dustin's bald spot on the back of his head.
One.
That's why the cap. In addition to the assumption that this could be a gathering place for evil entities, some also believe that this could be a place where UFOs land or have landed in the past, because there have been a lot of sightings of UFOs in this forest. People talk about orb-like unidentified objects hovering above the woods and like orange and white and red light. And this is we hear it a lot.
Yeah,
the orbs and other UFO like disc-shaped UFOs. So people see a lot of UFOs in or over or around this place. Creepy.
Yeah, you guys mentioned earlier about the missing people and possibly going into portals. I think you're referring to the missing 411 cases.
Mm-hmm.
That researcher David Paulides wrote a series of books on. For those that are not familiar, the missing 411 cases are like a special class of missing persons cases in which it follows a pattern where sometimes the people are found, but they're found in areas. Their dead bodies are found in areas that were already searched. Oftentimes, when they go missing, as soon as the search party goes out looking for them, the weather picks up, whether it's snow or rain, and it destroys any evidence like footprints. So there's all this like these different bullet points that go into the missing 411 cases, and David Paulides himself doesn't conclude with what is taking these people, but other people will have their own theories. One of them is that Bigfoot is actually kidnapping them, and there are a lot of Bigfoot kidnapping cases. Some people believe that they're being abducted by fairies. Some believe that it's UFO abductions. Some believe that it's a mythological being known as the Leshy that is taking them away. And then others believe that it's portals. And sometimes the portals themselves are connected to UFOs or fairies or something. But Daniel, just like you, I was very skeptical with portals. Actually, until recently, because I'm not saying I totally believe now, but I just kept coming across these alleged portals. And if you type in YouTube, I forgot what I typed in. I think I typed in like portal opening or portal plus paranormal or something like that. And there's this interesting footage that's been analyzed by other videographers. And this guy is recording, he's walking forward, but he has a camera pointed back toward him or back to him. And it's like the air kind of just starts swirling around. And like you see like a vague looking figure in the portal. What it is, I don't know. And there's a couple other ones like that. Are you guys familiar with the Malaysian plane that went missing?
Yes. I'm planning an episode about this plane. It's a very interesting story, and a very strange story where UFOs are involved. And I love the story. I love this. I mean, people disappeared. It's not a good thing, but the story. I love the story. Yeah, I love it.
It's fascinating. It's really fascinating, and that footage came out of the portal recently, and people wanted to debunk it right away, but what the debunkers were saying in order to debunk it doesn't hold up. So that's what I found interesting. You see like these two UFOs that are just they're swirling around the plane, and then all of a sudden the plane just disappears, and everything disappears, and it's really fascinating. Like
it's eerie almost, right?
The term is high strangeness, right?
Yeah.
I like high strangeness because you have your ghost sightings, you have your Bigfoot encounters, you have your UFO sightings, but when these things start to do something, it's high strangeness. For Bigfoot, there's people, I've interviewed them actually, people that say that Bigfoot is able to communicate with them telepathically. And who knows? Who knows? All I could say is that the people that I interviewed, they seem rational. One of them actually has he has a family. His family background is in the military and in the medical field. So, he's no chump off the streets. But this high strangeness, these portals, it's just really interesting, and are these missing people, are they going into portals? It's definitely possible. I'm not sure. I think it might be a combination of things, to be honest with you. I think it's probably paranormal related, probably cult-like related. There is a researcher named Jerry Sardinsky. Jerry spent decades working he spent decades working at psychiatric wards. And he came to the conclusion that people that end up in psychiatric wards with mental illness, he thinks that there is a psychic parasite that is within them. He believes that it's not all just plain quote unquote mental illness. The mental illness is stemming from something. These people are playing a host to this psychic parasites. And he goes further that he believes that is what demonic possession is. That yes, it is. Demonic possession is a mental illness, but there is an actual intelligent being behind this mental illness.
Let me interrupt you right here. I'm very sorry. When you say psychic parasite, does he mean like a physical object, or is it metaphoric for a force?
Sure. So he believes that that it's not something physical, but like it's a mental, it's a psychic, it's a being that travels through the astral plane. And sometimes they lack, we're all connected to the astral plane, and we could all develop sicknesses from the real world. But there are sicknesses that we could develop from the astral world, because we all have not just a physical body, but we have an astral body. So there are beings on the astral plane as well, just like in the physical world. And sometimes there is, there's all sorts of beings as well. But sometimes there is these beings that latch on to us like parasites, and they're able to manipulate us, and I think that's what he was talking about.
But is he talking about possible reasons that why these parasites nagging on us?
I'm not sure, but it does seem like, well, there is one podcast that he did where I believe he talked about kind of what I mentioned before about people that are more prone to anxiety or to depression. These beings will latch onto them more because they feed off emotion. I mean, they live in the astral plane, so it would make sense that they feed off emotions. And that's something I think as well. I think that there could be, these negative beings, and we deem them as negative, but they may not be negative. Just like there are insects that burrow into other insects and lay their eggs. Is that evil? No, that's just their nature. We could deem it as evil, but that's not necessarily the case. Well, that could be the same thing with these astral beings that latch onto us, and they feed off negative emotion. They feed off our ugliness, and they gain more and more power. Now, what this researcher Jerry Sardinsky, what he was saying is that they're able to actually feed off of us so much that they're able to actually control us. They play the host, and they're able to manipulate what we do. I'm not sure. Maybe I don't know if it could go that far, but it's I'd be open to it.
Yeah, everything is possible, man. Everything is possible.
That's crazy.
Everything's possible.
Let's take a step back to the portals again. I think I told Dustin about it long ago, but here in Germany, or let's say right on the border of Germany and Austria, we have this mountain. It's called the Untersberg, I don't know. And it's a lot of mysteries and myth roaming around this mountain. And it's said to be portal place. People who go there sometimes experience time anomalies. I personally know someone who went there with a friend.
Yeah.
And they parted ways, separated, and to do research. One went there, one went the other way, and one of these guys got lost. And they said when they started, they said, let's meet at 9 p.m. at this parking spot, I don't know, or this gas station. And one of the guys waited there, and the other guys, he didn't came. And he tried to call him on his cell phone, and he wasn't there. And he waited until morning the next day, and he said, man, maybe I should call the cops. And he waited a few more hours, and then he was looking for his friend. He was looking and looking and looking. And when the night came, the next night came, he said, man, I'm calling the cops now. We're calling the cops. Let's break up here and call the cops. He's lost. And just when he was about to call the cops, his phone rang, and his friend was on the phone and said, hey, I'm at the gas station. Where are you at? And he said, damn, we were looking for you 24 hours, man. And he said, I'm at the gas station, just as we said we would be. And he said, no, you were lost 24 hours. He said, no, I'm looking at my watch. He said, it's 9 p.m. I'm at the gas station. And for him, just a few hours went by, and for the other guy, 24 hours passed. This is what he told me. I personally know this guy. He wrote a book about it, or a few books about it, about the Untersberg. And the Untersberg also is said to be, like I said, a portal place. Sometimes people have seen, they said they've seen giants or dwarfs, which is crazy stories about dwarfs, man. I hear about dwarfs and giants all the time, especially giants, everywhere on the world. People talking about giants and dwarfs. Sometimes I think dwarfs, man, it's so crazy to hear about dwarfs, but there was a human race many years back. I don't know exactly when, but there was a species of human that was called Homo floresiensis. Yeah. And they only grew up to like a meter or so. This is very small. Just a meter is very small. And sometimes I think maybe a few of these stories, are they about these guys? Do they survive somewhere? And I don't know. But
I mean that. Yeah, I thought about that too. Like, did they go into hiding? And but then why are there always like supernatural acts associated with
I'm sorry to interrupt you right here. It's back then it was it was always like that. People who are not seen very often or live, people that hide, or they always said to be some kind of supernatural. So if you don't know anything about these guys, there's always something supernatural. People talking about supernatural stuff. It was the same with witches back then. It was women that lived in the forest, and they collected herbs and stuff like that, and they made their tea and their creams and whatnot, and they did good things. They knew how to heal, and your back hurts, take this and take that. And people said that there's supernatural powers going on, that they're witches and they doing magic spells and shit like that. So just because they lived, like, I don't know, alone in the forest, or knew shit that other people did not know and that scared people off, maybe because of that.
But let's not forget that, even today, people will see these supernatural dwarfs, so, because we're human, we always assign supernatural things to things that are not supernatural. So it is possible that there were survivors of Homo florensis, and we attributed them with something supernatural when it wasn't. But there possibly could be other smaller beings that do have these supernatural abilities. I've interviewed people who allegedly seen giants, and you would think, like, well, are these people schizophrenic? It was like, no, not by all accounts, they're not. They allegedly see these things sometimes. So, I interviewed somebody who saw, he was spending a night in a cabin with his wife, and he looks out, and there was a giant that was like half as tall as the trees. And it just, like, as he was looking at it, it just slowly just faded away. As soon as the giant noticed that he was looking at it, it started to fade away. So when we do this research into the paranormal, it's difficult, isn't it? Because you're walking a fine line between our world and a different world. So you have to say, like, okay, could this just be something totally different? Is this something more down to earth? Is it just some little people that have just, they've avoided detection? It's for example, we could take Bigfoot. I think Bigfoot is a good example of this. People will say that, well, Bigfoot is just an unidentified ape that's living in North America. It's like, okay, that might be the case, but you have all these other people that say Bigfoot has these supernatural abilities, whether it's disappearing or communicating telepathically, or things like that. So yeah, the paranormal research is complex. It takes a lot of digging.
I don't know about you guys, Dustin and Jack, but when we're talking about Bigfoot and might be some kind of ape that we don't know what exactly it is, I don't think so, man. I don't think that a group of apes, of primates, are capable of hiding for such a long time, even in a fucking big forest, even very, very big forest. You don't find poo, you don't find bones.
No.
Where do they go when they die? Do they bury their death, or what do they do with the deceased? So they found, what did we found? A few hairs that maybe could be from such an animal or being. What did we find?
Footprints.
Yeah. We found nothing really. We have nothing really to say this is from Bigfoot. And this, I don't think that primates or primitive apes can hide for such a long time without being noticed or seen or found.
Sure.
This is why I think they could be. Like I said, I'm a skeptic, but I think everything everything's possible.
Well, it's just like the rest
interdimensional.
Yeah,
right?
right.
You get, as soon as you take out your camera to get a UFO, it disappears.
Yeah, right.
Or what happens a lot of time, people will have the camera in their hand, but they'll say, "Oh, I didn't even think to."
Sure, because you're in shock.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
because they're in shock, or is it because the phenomena has a way of eluding us?
Yeah.
Sure.
Is
Yeah.
it because we could look this way, but mentally the phenomena makes us kind of see a little bit slanted, so that the
Yes.
phenomena itself could avoid detection.
Well, Earth is the Disneyland of the galaxy. That's why we have all this craziness.
That's why John Keel has a book called Disneyland of the Gods.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
That's what this place is.
Yeah. That's how I think of it. And yeah, let's talk a bit about the UFO phenomenon. There was a case in 2006 O'Hare Airport. You hear about that case where this UFO is just hovering right over the airport for I don't know, like 20 minutes or something, and like 12 employees on the ground were witnessing this, and everybody's on the radio freaking out. And so I guess they couldn't even land airplanes because of this thing was just floating there. And when it did shoot off, it left a big puncture hole in the clouds too.
Right. Yeah. So Sam Moranto, who is the Illinois State Director of MUFON. MUFON is Mutual UFO Network. MUFON is the world's largest UFO organization. My buddy Sam is the Illinois State Director of it. His phone was blowing up at night, but at night he turns off his phone. So when he woke up, he sees that he has all these calls and messages at night, and he's like, what the heck is going on? So he starts calling people, and he's like, there was a UFO. Sam went on to interview dozens of people, but the total number of witnesses to the sighting was over 100. So the UFO was hovering in the sky, and the grounds, the airport was communicating with each other, and you could hear the conversation online, and they were communicating. This was in the O'Hare Airport, which is just north of Chicago, and people were, they didn't know what the heck was going on, right? Actually, somebody, it sounded like it was a prank. They thought it was like some sort of prank or a joke, but enough people were seeing this thing where they're like, okay, this is something. Allegedly, a lot of the airport staff were told, don't talk to the press about it. But yeah, it was just hovering in the sky. People described it as a metallic object. And people, for your listeners that are in the Chicagoland area, people in Tinley Park, Orland Park, because there was the sightings in that around the same time in that area as well. So that's why I bring that up. O'Hare is not by Tinley Park or Orland Park, but there were sightings around that time there. So there was a UFO flap taking place, and in O'Hare, like just a bunch of people saw this thing, and it was described as long as well. From the distance, it was hard to make out, what shape it was, but it was eventually seen dancing around. And then it just like went up into the clouds and left like a punctured hole in the clouds. So yeah, it's fascinating. I was in high school during that time, so unfortunately I couldn't like go over there and like interview people. But God, I wish I was. I hope we get something like that again, And you, Dustin, being in Wisconsin, like there's all sorts of UFO sightings there. How is it in Europe, Daniel? How's the UFO sightings in Germany?
Not too much, but we have a few. And if you want, guys, I was contacted by two guys here from Germany. just a few days ago, and they provided me with UFO footage they took near where they live, and I have it right here on my computer. If you want to,
yeah, please pull it up. Pull it up.
Yeah. And I do love this short piece of video. There's a few pictures too, but they are, as you can imagine, typical UFO picture. But I will provide you with a few. Very interesting. I made a video about this UFO sighting and released it on my German channel yesterday, just yesterday. And yeah, wait, let me share the screen here and let me provide you with this, this stuff. So you should see my screen now, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope you can see it. Yeah. Let me roll the tape. So here in the middle you have the object, and it's rotating on its own axis.
Okay.
So wait. Hope you can see it. This looks very interesting. So they said this wasn't a balloon, this wasn't a plane or a helicopter. And as maybe you can see, let me roll it back. It has the shape of, yeah, maybe the shape of an egg or something like that. It's not really.
It's almost like a bell shape, and you can see the sun glistening off of it, so you can see the rotation.
Yeah, you could see the rotation from the. Yeah, you're right, from the sun.
And I have a picture here, which is, like I said, not really good, but
wow, yeah,
so you can definitely see it doesn't look like a balloon or a helicopter or a plane or whatever it was. It was very interesting. Let me play it again. So I think it's pretty cool. You could say it's a balloon that turns on its own axis, but it's not getting higher or lower, not moving with the wind and nothing. It's just there, right?
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
No, it doesn't look like a balloon. The way that you see the when it rotates, you could see like the sun glistening off of it. Yeah, it doesn't look like a balloon.
I have no chance to work with this. I don't have the right software to do anything with this footage. But if maybe you know somebody that knows somebody knows somebody has a chance to do a little bit of editing on this footage to make it a little bit I don't know.
Daniel.
Actually, Sam Morazzo, who I mentioned, he would love to see that footage, and he likes to like toy with the footage and stuff too.
Yeah,
cool.
I can send you everything I have about this footage. I think these boys won't be mad. So
Daniel, I sent you a video on Messenger if you want to share it with us. It's that footage of Dundee, Wisconsin, 2004. Of that group of people seeing this giant UFO fly over their head. Everybody's just making a ruckus about it. It's really kind of cool. It's probably one of the clearest nighttime footages.
Let me share the screen.
Where is this at again?
It's in Dundee, Wisconsin.
Okay.
2004.
So let me roll it.
Yeah.
Oh,
it'll get closer and closer.
I remember.
It's rotating.
It's rotating, yeah. It's like a star-shaped object.
Yeah.
Triangle, yeah.
Triangle or star-shaped, yeah. Interesting.
Right when it goes over these people's heads, it's just like, holy shit.
So tell us more about the location. Who saw it? Where was it?
His name is Kevin. I forgot his last name. But yeah, again, I think this is it was over Dundee, near Dundee Mountain, near Long Lake. It's probably like an hour 45 minutes northeast of Madison. Yeah, I guess a group of people saw this again right over their head. Look at that thing. It's fucking awesome. Yeah, this witness, this giant floating, and it didn't make any noise either. You hear the ruckus of the people just like cursing, like, holy fucking shit.
I wonder why the yellow one is different from the rest.
Exactly,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
And its unique shape, and it's dead silent, and is near the hot spot where Dundee is a hot spot, or Dundee Mountain is a hot spot. Even from Native Americans calling it Spirit Hill. There's been weird phenomenon over this mountain. It's a giant hill, basically.
And
yeah, I've been there a few times. There's a campsite right below the mountain. Yeah, beautiful area. But yeah, there's been tons of sightings for millenniums.
Yeah, crazy footage, very crazy footage. Awesome.
Yeah.
I have a Dustin already saw it. I took a picture myself. Since we talked to this guy, I keep forgetting his name. With the highway thing.
The Invisible Highway.
Invisible Highway. Yeah, Nate. Now I know
Nate.
his name. Nate.
Yeah.
His name was Nate, and he has this project is called the Invisible Highway. So he once was out golfing, and he wanted to film his golf swing, and he set up a camera. And when he looked at this video, he put it on slow motion to observe his golf swing, and he noticed something strange in the sky behind him, and he detected a UFO. So he kept on filming the sky for 30 seconds or a minute, and now he has some really, really good footage. And Dustin and we interviewed him, and we wanted to try it for ourselves, of course.
Yeah.
And I do it now and then. Most of the time, there's nothing, but I have 2 videos and a few pictures with very interesting objects, and I want to show you one object. I don't have the video right here.
Okay.
I wasn't prepared, but I have the picture of it. So let me share the screen. I find this pretty interesting, to be honest. I don't know what it is, but it's definitely not a bird.
No. Solid.
Yeah. And I had to zoom in a lot, but I don't know. It could be a triangle. I don't know. It seems like it could be a triangle, but whatever it was, it doesn't look like a plane, or it wasn't a bug or a bird. And on the video, it's going through the screen like in the blink of a second.
That's definitely a craft, I think.
Yeah.
You never know when it's like an otherworldly UFO or if it's like some sort of government stealth craft,
Yeah.
Sure.
But
well, either way,
yeah, that's interesting. I find it a little bit it's a little frustrating when people say, oh, it's just government, like a government project and stuff. But like, even first of all, I don't think they're all government projects. Some of them probably are, but not all of them. But even when it is, like, that in itself says a lot, because are they using reverse engineering from UFO technology? Is that how they're doing that? And also, if they're able to have some of these crafts, then what else are they able to do? Not to right outside Chicago, like in the forest or like in the middle of the woods, is a laboratory. It's called Argon Labs.
Yeah.
And they do all sorts of experiments, and it's not a conspiracy theory. It's real. They do like highly classified experiments out of there. Sometimes they will finish a project and it gets on the news. And one of the projects that they did that got on the news actually is they were able to levitate frogs using lights. And what does that remind you of? That reminds you of UFOs.
Yeah.
Right.
It's fascinating. Now, I spoke to a woman actually on one of my ghost tours. I spoke to a woman who worked at the lab, and she wasn't a scientist there or anything. She just did, like administrative work. But she says that she didn't know too much of what they did there, but she did have one story. And she said that they developed a gun. And this gun, when it shot at objects, it was able to crush the object and form it into some sort of little ball. And they did it with a car. They shot at this car. The car crumbled. It collapsed in on itself and formed just a chunk of metal.
So it melted, or like a disintegrator or something like that?
Like it disintegrated and just like crumbled in on itself.
Oh, damn, man.
And I asked her for more details about it, and she goes, "That's the only thing that I heard that they did there." She goes, "They really kept everything secret, even from other staff members that worked at this lab." So, and in the surrounding lab, there's other, like outside in the forest, there's weird reports about ghostly phenomena. There's apparently albino deer, just all sorts of weird stuff going on there.
Wow.
Yeah,
So,
man.
you know, we were just talking about the UFOs and whether it could be like either extraterrestrial related or government related. Well, for me, it really, I mean, I hope a lot of it is extraterrestrial related, but even the man-made ones, like that says a lot in itself. You know, what other experiments are they doing? What things are they doing that bends physics, you know, that defies nature? You know, I'm interested in that as well, you know.
I would love to shoot at Dustin's car with that gun, man.
Jesus Christ. Someone already hit and ran my car already. You want to shoot at it now?
Just for fun, man. Just for
What's
fun.
for fun? Oh, okay.
I wonder what that would do to like a person, you know? That type of...
I would love to shoot at Dustin too with this gun. No.
Your true feelings are coming out now, Daniel. All right.
I was watching a video long time ago, and I was impressed with this technology where they made a drop of water float, and it changed its shape with frequencies. So they changed to very beautiful and strange shapes. Just
I've seen that. Yeah,
it was floating like in these frequencies, and I was thinking maybe UFOs use some kind of technologies just like that, because I heard reports of UFOs that changed shape too, and maybe they're made from materials similar to, sounds funny, but similar to water, or yeah, texture of water or something like that. So they can, maybe they change, maybe they move with frequencies that might explain how they appear and disappear, like in the blink of a second, and like I said, change shape sometimes. That's a very interesting thought. When I saw this video, I couldn't help myself but think about that.
Well, there have been experiments done with sound frequency and the idea of being able to move objects with sound.
Yeah.
And there are a couple fringe researchers that believe that that's how ancient people were able to move things around. There, and I can't think of the names out of the top of my head, but there are researchers that you can look up where they believe that is how Stonehenge came about, by using sound frequency to move and levitate objects. It's also said to that ancient Egyptians created the pyramids using sound frequency as well. And there have been modern day experiments done on this, and there is at least some credibility to it that sound can carry objects.
Yes.
So
yeah,
maybe the ancients were using a method that we're not familiar with today, you know.
You ever heard of this guy? I have a book right here. That just reminds me of this guy in Florida.
Yeah.
You heard about this guy?
Yeah,
and he wrote a book about that. He discovered how the Egyptians moved the gigantic rocks, because this guy, the brutal old man, was moving megalithic structures to impress this woman that he was trying to marry, but he ended up being heartbroken. But anyways, it's very mysterious that he had this one pulley system that had this mysterious box on top that he made a claim that was using the technology to make these things weightless, basically. Yeah. And this little old man's fucking just with one rope and a few pulleys and this mystical box on top is moving these gigantic 25-ton boulders.
He was one of the people I was thinking about, and if he's able to do it, I mean, think about how like an ancient society what they would be able to do.
In the fact that he gives credit to the Egyptians after writing a book about this is how it was done. It was like these formats, and he said there was like a generator below the place too that might have frequencies or yeah, it was again very bizarre, and it's still a big mystery. Like people go there and they don't really have any straight answers besides this mysterious box that was on this pulley system.
Right.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I told you about the mountain here on the border of Germany and Austria not too long ago, and there is this valley at this mountain, and on top of the valley, on different corners, there are so-called, people call it sound stones. And if you go to one of these stones and take a big piece of rock and hit this stone, it creates a really interesting sound that you can, if you hit this sound stone long enough, these big sound stones, if you hit them long enough, I mean, you have to hit very long to create a very big sound. If you're a few meters away from them, you can really feel this sound waves. You can really feel it, the vibrations, and the frequency. And that's very interesting. And because it's on top of the valley on different, I think on 3 or 4 spots, people think it could have something to do with its portals or with the theory we were just talking about with transporting something with the frequencies. Interesting. It's everywhere. In every corner of the world is something like that. So interesting.
I love it. I mean, that it keeps me going, because you could spend a whole lifetime just exploring one phenomena like ghosts or UFOs. But, when you pile on all these things like I do, it's like you can never get bored. You always find something.
And you're coming to the conclusion at one point that it's all connected.
All connected, yeah.
Everything is connected.
Yes.
Yeah.